The stars looked different here. Captain Yulra pressed her blue-scaled palm against the viewing window of the Viridian scout ship Harmony's Edge and watched the distant sun grow larger. This was the edge of known space, where few ships dared to travel. The hyperspace jump had taken them far from home, but their mission was important. They were explorers, peacekeepers, helpers to those in need. "Captain, we are dropping out of hyperspace now," called Navigation Officer Taman from his station. His voice carried the calm tone that all Viridians learned during their training. Even in unknown space, they must remain peaceful and ready to help others. The ship shuddered slightly as it left the blue tunnel of hyperspace and entered normal space. Through the windows, a yellow star blazed in the distance, surrounded by several planets that spun slowly in their orbits. This was System Designation 7749 Delta, far from any major trade routes or known civilizations. "Why are we here again?" asked First Officer Heywan as she walked onto the bridge. Her green eyes showed concern. The Viridian exploration fleet had sent them to investigate strange signals, but no one had told them what to expect. Yulra turned from the window. 3 days ago, our long-range sensors picked up energy readings from the system. The patterns match human technology, but humans rarely travel this far from their homeworlds. Command wants us to investigate. Taman looked up from his scanner station. "Captain, I am detecting something unusual. There are definitely artificial energy signatures coming from the third planet. The readings are weak, but they are there." Heywan moved to her station and began running detailed scans. The energy patterns are inconsistent. They seem to be failing or damaged in some way. This does not look like a normal colony or outpost. Yulra felt her heart skip. The Viridians had a duty to help all species in need. If humans were in trouble this far from home, it was their responsibility to assist them. "Can you get more details about the planet itself?" "Yes, Captain," Taman replied, his fingers dancing over the control panel. "The third planet has breathable atmosphere for most species, including humans. It has large continents and oceans. The climate appears harsh in many areas with extreme temperatures and rough terrain. Not an ideal place for colonization." The bridge fell quiet as the crew processed this information. Humans were known to be tough and resourceful, but even they would struggle on a harsh world like this. If they had come here willingly, something must have gone very wrong. "I am picking up transmissions," announced Communications Officer Bora as she joined them on the bridge. "They are faint and old, but definitely human in origin. Should I try to clean them up?" "Do it," Yulra ordered. She moved to stand behind Bora's station as the young officer worked to strengthen the signal. Static filled the bridge speakers for several moments. Then, slowly, a human voice became clear. The words were spoken in the common galactic language, but with the accent that humans used when they were stressed or frightened. "This is New Busan Colony calling any ship in range. Our situation is critical. The terraforming equipment has failed completely. We cannot repair the atmospheric processors, and our power grid is failing. Food supplies are running low. We have approximately 50,000 colonists, including women and children. Please, if anyone receives this message, we need immediate assistance." The message repeated several times before fading back into static. Bora looked up at her captain with wide eyes. "The timestamp on this transmission is 3 years old, Captain." Yulra felt her stomach drop. 3 years. If the humans had been in crisis for 3 years, how many were still alive? How many had they already lost? "Are there any newer transmissions?" she asked quickly. Bora worked at her station for several more minutes. "I am finding scattered signals, but they are all at least 2 years old. The most recent ones I can detect speak of increasing system failures, failed rescue attempts, and..." She paused, her voice growing sad. "Requests to remember them if anyone ever finds the colony." Heywan shook her head slowly. "Captain, we need to consider that we might be too late. 3 years is a long time for a colony to survive in crisis conditions." But Yulra was already moving toward the command chair. "Set course for the third planet. Maximum speed. If there is even one human alive down there, we have a duty to help them." Captain, Haywan said carefully, we should probably contact Viridian Command and request permission to enter human space without proper diplomatic clearance. This could create political problems. Yulra waved her hand dismissively. Those are desperate people down there, Haywan. Politics can wait. If the situation were reversed, would we want aliens to waste time asking permission while Viridians died? The first officer nodded reluctantly. You are right, Captain. I will prepare the humanitarian aid packages. As Harmony's Edge moved toward the planet, the crew worked quickly to prepare for what they expected would be a difficult rescue mission. The ship carried medical supplies, food synthesizers, temporary shelter units, and repair equipment specifically designed to help colonies in crisis. Taman guided the ship into orbit around the planet. Through the main viewer, they could see the harsh landscape below. Rocky mountains covered much of the main continent with deep valleys and dangerous-looking terrain everywhere. It was definitely not a world that humans would choose for a colony, unless they had no other option. I am detecting the settlement, reported Bo-Ra from her station. It appears to be located in a mountain valley on the northern continent. The colony is spread out over several square kilometers. What can you tell about their condition? Yulra asked as she studied the planet below. Power readings are very low and inconsistent. I can see several structures that appear to be damaged or incomplete. There are signs of some activity, but nothing like what you would expect from a healthy colony of 50,000 people. Haywan ran additional scans from her station. Life sign readings are difficult to get through the atmospheric interference and the rocky terrain. But I am detecting human signatures. It is hard to say how many are still alive. Yulra took a deep breath. They had found survivors, which was more than she had hoped after hearing those old distress calls. Now they needed to make contact and begin immediate aid operations. Bo-Ra, open a channel to the colony. Let them know help has arrived. The communications officer worked at her controls for several moments before shaking her head. I am trying multiple frequencies, but I cannot reach them directly. Their communications. Equipment may be damaged. I can broadcast on emergency frequencies and hope someone down there is listening. Do it, Yulra ordered. Bo-Ra activated the transmission system. New Busan Colony. This is Captain Yulra of the Viridian ship Harmony's Edge. We have received your distress calls and are here to provide immediate assistance. Please respond on any available frequency. They waited in tense silence for several minutes. Finally, a crackling voice came through the speakers. Viridian ship, this is New Busan Colony. We cannot believe someone actually came. We had given up hope of rescue. Yulra smiled for the first time since entering the system. Colony, we are prepared to begin emergency aid operations immediately. What is your most urgent need? Everything, came the tired reply. Medical supplies, food, power equipment, shelter materials. We have been barely surviving for 3 years. Many of our people are sick or injured. We need help with everything. Understood, Yulra replied. We are preparing to send down a humanitarian team with supplies and medical personnel. Can you provide coordinates for a safe landing site? Yes, sending coordinates now. And thank you. You have no idea what this means to us. As the transmission ended, Yulra looked around at her crew. They were all smiling now, proud to be part of a mission that would save lives and restore hope to desperate people. Haywan, prepare the landing team. Take our best medical officers and engineers. Bo-Ra, you will lead the diplomatic contact. I want to make sure these humans know they are safe now. None of them realized that far below on the planet's surface, in hidden chambers beneath the mountains, the real leaders of New Busan Colony were watching their ship and smiling for very different reasons. Deep beneath the rocky surface of New Busan Colony, Administrator Dongsu watched the alien ship through hidden cameras and smiled. The massive command center around him buzzed with quiet activity as dozens of specialists monitored every aspect of the Viridian vessel. Holographic displays showed detailed scans of the ship's weapons, shields, power systems, and crew complement. They took the bait perfectly, said Chief of Security Ji Hai as she approached Dongsu's command station. Her voice carried satisfaction, but no surprise. They had been preparing for this moment for 3 years. 8 crew members, light armaments, standard exploration vessel. They think they are rescuing helpless colonists. Dong-Su nodded as he studied the incoming data. The Viridians were exactly as intelligence reports had described them. Peaceful, helpful, and completely unprepared for what they were about to encounter. Their ship design is interesting. Look at these power distribution patterns, much different from what we expected. Our technical teams are already analyzing everything, Ji-hai replied. Every scan they run on us, we are running on them. By the time they leave, we will know their technology better than they do. On the surface, the colony looked exactly as it was supposed to look. Damaged buildings with failing power systems, colonists moving slowly and carefully as if conserving energy. Equipment that appeared to be barely functional. It was a perfect illusion, created by some of the most skilled military engineers humanity had ever produced. Supply Chief Kyung-ho coordinated the surface preparations from his hidden station. The colonists were not desperate farmers struggling to survive. They were retired Special Forces soldiers, intelligence operatives, and military engineers. Each one had volunteered for this mission knowing they might spend years living this lie. Remember, we are tired, hungry, and grateful, Kyung-ho said into his communication device. But not too eager. We do not want to seem suspicious. Let them think they are in control of this situation. The Viridian transport beam activated near the colony's main settlement. 8 aliens materialized in a flash of blue light carrying bags of supplies and medical equipment. They looked around nervously at the harsh landscape and the apparently damaged buildings nearby. Senior diplomat Bora stepped forward, her green skin and large eyes making her look kind and trustworthy. She activated a translation device and spoke in careful, slow words. Greetings. I am Bora of the Viridian Exploration Fleet. We have come to help you. From a nearby building, a human figure emerged. This was Medical Officer Sung Jin, though the aliens did not know his real title. He had used genetic modifications to make himself appear older and weaker than he actually was. His clothes were carefully torn and dirty, and he moved with the slow, careful steps of someone who had not eaten well in a long time. Thank you, Sung Jin said, his voice cracking with what sounded like emotion. We had given up hope. So many of us have died. The children are sick, and our medical supplies ran out months ago. Bora's large eyes filled with sympathy. We have medical supplies and food. Show us where you need help most. As Sung Jin led the Viridians through the colony, hidden cameras recorded everything. Deep below, Ji-hai watched the aliens' reactions carefully. They were scanning everything with their devices, trying to understand human technology and assess the colony's condition. They had no idea that every scan was being monitored and analyzed by human systems, far more advanced than anything the Viridians possessed. Look at how they move, Ji-hai said to Dong-Su. They are completely relaxed. They think we are harmless. Engineer Minho met the group near what appeared to be the colony's failing power station. Smoke rose from several damaged-looking units and sparks flew from exposed wiring. The Viridians immediately began scanning the equipment with their repair tools. This is worse than we thought, said one of the Viridian engineers. Your power grid is completely unstable. How have you survived this long? Minho shrugged sadly. We use power only when we must. Most of our equipment stopped working long ago. We have been trying to repair things with spare parts, but we do not have the right materials. What the aliens could not see was that the damaged power station was actually a holographic overlay covering some of the most advanced human power technology ever built. Every time they tried to scan or repair something, the hidden systems learned more about Viridian engineering principles. Communications specialist Yun-ji approached the group with what looked like desperation in her eyes. Please, can you help us contact Earth? Our long-range communicators have been broken for 2 years. Our families do not even know if we are alive. This was the moment Dong-Su had been waiting for. Deep in the command center, he watched as the sympathetic aliens immediately offered to relay messages to human space. They had no idea that this simple act of kindness would give the colony access to Viridian communication networks, hyperspace routes, and detailed information about alien defensive positions throughout this sector of space. Of course, Bo-Ra said immediately. We can send messages for you right away. What do you want to tell your families? As Yunji began dictating what sounded like desperate messages from stranded colonists, the hidden human systems were already breaking into the Viridian communication networks. Every relay station, every encryption code, every defensive position was being mapped and cataloged. The tour continued through the afternoon. The aliens saw sick children who were actually Special Forces operatives using advanced disguises. They saw failing equipment that was actually military technology beyond their understanding. They saw desperate colonists who were actually some of the most dangerous soldiers humanity had ever produced. Colony Director So Young met with Bo-Ra privately that evening. She had made herself look older and tired, with gray streaks in her hair and lines around her eyes that told a story of years of hardship and worry. Thank you for coming, So Young said, her voice breaking with apparent emotion. I was starting to think we would all die here, forgotten by the rest of the galaxy. No one should be forgotten, Bo-Ra replied kindly. We will help you rebuild, or if you prefer, we can arrange transport to a better world. We have worked so hard to make this place our home, So Young said carefully. If we could just get our equipment working again, maybe we could make it work. But we need time to think about what is best for our people. Bo-Ra nodded understandingly. Take all the time you need. We will stay as long as necessary to help you. Deep beneath the surface, Dongsu received an encrypted message from Earth Fleet Command. The message was simple but important. Operation Deep Strike had been approved. Intelligence gathering could continue for up to 1 more week, then Phase 2 would begin. As the Viridians settled into temporary shelters for the night, feeling good about their humanitarian mission, they had no idea that every aspect of their technology was being studied, copied, and analyzed by systems they could not even detect. The humans were learning everything they needed to know. Soon it would be time to show the galaxy what humanity was really capable of. But for now, the performance continued. The desperate colonists thanked their alien rescuers and went to sleep, while deep below them, the real colony worked through the night, preparing for war. The morning sun cast long shadows across the colony, as senior diplomat Bo-Ra began her detailed inspection of the human settlement. She had spent the night in a temporary shelter, listening to the sounds of what she believed were struggling colonists, trying to survive another day in harsh conditions. Her heart ached for these brave humans who had endured so much. Medical Officer Sung Jin met her outside the colony's main medical facility, which looked like it had been hastily assembled from salvaged parts. The building showed signs of damage from storms and neglect, with patched walls and flickering lights that suggested power problems. Thank you for coming to see our medical situation, Sung Jin said, his voice weak with apparent exhaustion. We have done our best, but we lost so many people in the first year. Disease, accidents, malnutrition, we tried to save everyone, but our equipment is so limited. Bo-Ra followed him into the medical facility, her sensitive eyes adjusting to the dim lighting. What she saw broke her heart. Beds lined the walls, filled with humans who appeared sick or injured. Children lay quietly, their faces pale and thin. Adults moved slowly, conserving their energy. The whole scene spoke of a community that had suffered greatly, but refused to give up. She had no way of knowing that every patient was a highly trained operative using advanced medical techniques to simulate various conditions. The children were actually adult Special Forces soldiers who had undergone temporary genetic modifications. The medical equipment that looked primitive was actually scanning every aspect of her biology, learning everything about Viridian physiology that might be useful for future military applications. This young girl has been sick for months, Sung Jin said sadly, gesturing to a bed where a small figure lay very still. We cannot figure out what is wrong with her. Our medical scanners are too damaged to give us clear readings. Bo-Ra immediately activated her own medical scanner and ran detailed scans of the child. The device hummed quietly as it analyzed tissue samples and vital signs. What Bo-Ra did not realize was that hidden sensors throughout the room were analyzing her scanner in return, learning how Viridian medical technology worked and how it could be duplicated or countered. I am seeing some unusual readings, Bo-Ra said with concern. Her cellular structure seems unstable. This might be some kind of genetic disorder we have not encountered before. Deep beneath the medical facility, human scientists watched the readings from Bora's scanner with great interest. They were learning more about Viridian medical technology in one morning than human intelligence had gathered in years of distant observation. After spending 2 hours in the medical facility, Bora moved on to inspect the colony's engineering systems. Engineer Minho met her at what appeared to be the main power distribution center. Smoke drifted from several damaged units, and the constant sound of failing machinery filled the air. "We have been trying to keep the power running for 3 years," Minho explained, wiping grease from his hands with a dirty cloth. "But we lose more systems every month. Pretty soon we will not have power for life support." Minho led her through a maze of apparently failing equipment. Cables were patched with tape, control panels flickered with error messages, and several machines made concerning noises that suggested imminent breakdown. Bora and her technical team immediately began scanning everything, trying to understand how human power systems worked and where the problems might be. What they could not see was that every piece of equipment they scanned was actually an advanced, holographic projection covering human military technology that was decades ahead of anything the Viridians possessed. Every scan they made was recorded and analyzed by AI systems that were learning the complete specifications of Viridian engineering tools and techniques. "Your fusion reactors are running at dangerously low efficiency," said one of the Viridian engineers after completing his scans. "We can provide you with new power coupling units that should improve output by at least 40%. "That would save lives," Minho said gratefully. "We would be happy to accept any help you can provide." As the Viridians began installing their advanced power couplings into what they believed were failing human systems, hidden scanners recorded every detail of the alien technology. Within hours, human scientists would understand Viridian power systems well enough to build their own versions or design weapons specifically meant to counter them. The inspection continued to the colony's communications center, where communications specialist Yunji waited with what looked like a collection of broken and damaged equipment. Cables hung loose from control panels, screens flickered with static, and several antenna arrays showed obvious signs of storm damage. "We have been completely cut off from the outside galaxy for 2 years," Yunji explained sadly. "We cannot call for help, cannot contact our families, cannot even send distress signals anymore. The isolation has been almost as hard as the physical hardships." The Viridian communications team immediately began working to repair and upgrade the human systems. They connected their own equipment to the human networks, installed new relay systems, and established connections to the broader galactic communication grid. What they did not realize was that every connection they made gave human intelligence services direct access to Viridian communication networks. Hidden programs immediately began mapping alien communication systems, copying encryption codes, and identifying the locations of military bases and defensive positions throughout Viridian space. As the day progressed, Bora toured more of the colony. She saw what appeared to be failing hydroponic farms where thin vegetables grew in poor soil. She visited workshops where humans appeared to be crafting tools from scrap metal and salvaged parts. She met families who seemed to be barely surviving, but who still maintained hope and dignity despite their hardships. In reality, she was walking through one of the most sophisticated military installations humanity had ever constructed. The failing farms were actually advanced food production facilities that could feed 10 times the number of people she saw. The workshops were manufacturing centers producing cutting-edge military equipment. The families were teams of specialists, whose mission was to gather intelligence on alien species and their technologies. That evening, Bora met privately with Colony Director So Young in what appeared to be the director's modest living quarters. The room was small and simply furnished, with personal items that suggested someone who had given up comfort to serve her community. "Your people have shown incredible strength," Bora said, as they shared a simple meal of synthesized food. "Not many communities could have survived what you have endured." So Young smiled tiredly. "Humans are stubborn, we do not give up easily, but I admit there were times when I wondered if we would make it another day. Your arrival has given us hope again. We want to help you rebuild." Bora said earnestly. Our engineers believe they can repair most of your systems within a few weeks. After that, we can discuss longer-term solutions. That is very kind, So Young replied. But I worry about accepting too much help. We came here to build something for ourselves. If we become too dependent on alien assistance, are we still truly independent? This conversation was being recorded by hidden sensors throughout the room, and So Young's words were carefully chosen to reinforce the image of humans as proud but harmless people who valued independence but posed no threat to galactic peace. As the evening ended and the Viridians returned to their temporary quarters, they felt good about their mission. They had found humans in desperate need and were providing exactly the kind of help that made the galaxy a better place. Their reports to Viridian Command spoke of a successful humanitarian operation that would save thousands of lives. Deep beneath the surface in the real command center of New Busan Colony, a very different kind of report was being prepared. Human intelligence had gathered detailed information about Viridian technology, communication networks, and defensive capabilities. Most importantly, they had confirmed that the aliens suspected nothing about the true nature of the colony. Administrator Dongsu read the preliminary reports with satisfaction. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The Viridians were providing exactly the intelligence that Earth Fleet Command needed for the next phase of human expansion into alien space. Soon, it would be time to show these helpful aliens what humanity was really capable of. But for now, the grateful colonists would continue to accept their assistance while learning everything they needed to know about their unexpected guests. 3 days into the humanitarian mission, Viridian Security Chief Jae-won was beginning to feel uncomfortable. Something about the human colony did not seem quite right, though he could not identify exactly what bothered him. As a security officer, he had learned to trust his instincts, and his instincts were telling him to be careful. The humans moved wrong. That was the best way he could describe it. They appeared weak and tired, but their movements were too controlled, too precise. When they thought no one was watching, he caught glimpses of coordination and efficiency that seemed odd for desperate colonists barely surviving on a harsh world. Jae-won walked through the colony's main settlement, observing carefully. A group of human children played near one of the damaged buildings, but their game looked more like a military training exercise than normal play. Adults worked on repairs with tools that appeared primitive, but somehow accomplished complex tasks with surprising efficiency. Most troubling were the passive sensor readings his security equipment was detecting. The colony showed signs of massive underground structures that the humans had never mentioned. When he had asked about them, Administrator Dongsu had explained that they were old mining tunnels from failed mineral extraction attempts. The explanation sounded reasonable, but Jae-won's instruments suggested the underground areas were much more organized than abandoned mine shafts should be. At the same time, deep beneath the surface, Colony Director So Young was receiving an encrypted communication from Earth Fleet Command. The message was brief but important. Intelligence analysis of the data gathered from the Viridian systems had exceeded all expectations. The alien defensive networks throughout this sector of space showed critical weaknesses that could be exploited. Operation Deep Strike was approved to move to the next phase. So Young acknowledged the message and began sending coded signals to the other colony leaders. It was time to begin revealing the truth to their alien guests. The intelligence gathering phase was complete. Now they needed to test human psychological operations techniques on a real alien species. The revelation began during what the Viridians thought was a routine equipment inspection. Viridian engineer Wu Jin was examining what appeared to be a damaged wall panel in one of the colony's main buildings. His scanner was detecting some unusual readings from behind the panel, so he decided to investigate further. When Wu Jin activated his deep scan mode, the energy pulse from his equipment interacted with hidden sensors in the wall. For just a moment, the holographic projection that made the wall appear damaged flickered and disappeared. Behind it, Wu Jin glimpsed a corridor that definitely did not belong in a struggling colony. The corridor was clean, well lit, and lined with what appeared to be advanced weapon systems. Display panels showed tactical information and human military symbols. Everything about the hidden passage screamed military installation, not desperate civilian settlement. Wu Jin stumbled backward, his scanner still recording what he had seen. "What is this?" he said loudly, causing other Viridians to come running. The holographic disguise reactivated quickly, making the wall appear damaged again, but it was too late. Security Chief Jae-won arrived and immediately began scanning the area with more powerful equipment. His readings confirmed that there were extensive facilities behind the walls throughout the colony. Captain Yulra was summoned from the ship immediately. When she arrived, her crew was gathered around the wall where the revelation had occurred, their faces showing confusion and growing alarm. "Explain this immediately," Captain Yulra demanded, addressing the nearest human. "What are you hiding from us?" Administrator Dongsu approached the group calmly. Unlike the other colonists, he was not trying to appear weak or desperate anymore. His posture was straight and confident, and his voice carried authority that had been carefully hidden for 3 days. "I think it is time for honest conversation," Dongsu said simply. "You have been very helpful to us, and we appreciate your assistance. But there are some things about New Busan Colony that we have not explained." "What kind of things?" Captain Yulra asked, though she was beginning to suspect that the answer would not be pleasant. Dongsu gestured toward the building around them. "This is not a failed terraforming colony. New Busan is a forward military base, established by Earth Fleet Command to gather intelligence and test new technologies in this sector of space." The Viridians stared at him in shock. Senior diplomat Bo-Ra was the first to speak. "Military base? But the distress signals, the failing equipment, the sick people, all part of our operational security," Dongsu explained patiently. "The distress signals were designed to attract exactly the kind of humanitarian mission you represent. We needed to study alien technology and capabilities without revealing our own strength." Security Chief Jae-won activated his personal shields and reached for his weapon. "Are you saying this entire situation has been a deception?" "Not a deception," corrected a new voice. Colony Commander Yan Ho emerged from what had appeared to be a damaged doorway. Unlike the other humans the Viridians had met, he wore a clean military uniform with rank insignia that clearly marked him as a senior officer. "An intelligence operation. You have been guests, not prisoners. You have been learning about us, and we have been learning about you." Captain Yulra felt anger rising in her chest. The Viridians had come here to help, and they had been manipulated and used. "How many of your people are actually military personnel?" "All of them," Yan Ho replied honestly. "The 42nd Deep Reconnaissance Battalion, to be precise. We are specialists in intelligence gathering, technology analysis, and psychological operations. Every person you have met is a veteran of multiple campaigns." As if to demonstrate this point, the colonists throughout the settlement began dropping their disguises. The sick children revealed themselves to be adult Special Forces soldiers as their genetic modifications reversed. The weak and tired adults straightened up and began moving with the precision and efficiency of trained military personnel. Equipment that had appeared damaged flickered and showed its true advanced nature. Bo-Ra looked around in horror as she realized how completely they had been fooled. The medical examinations, the equipment repairs, the communication links we established, all opportunities for us to study your technology and gather intelligence about your capabilities, confirmed Technical Director Hyo-jin as she joined the group. "Every scan you ran on our systems, we ran more detailed scans on yours. Every repair you made gave us access to your engineering principles. Every communication link you established allowed us to map your networks." The Viridians found themselves surrounded by humans who were no longer pretending to be helpless colonists. Instead, they were clearly professional soldiers who had been engaged in a complex military operation from the moment the alien ship had entered the system. "Why?" Captain Yulra asked, her voice showing both anger and confusion. "Why would you do this to people who came here to help you?" Commander Yan Ho's expression became serious. "Because 3 years ago, humanity received our first contact with alien species. It was not as peaceful as the contact you represent. We learned that the galaxy can be a dangerous place for species who appear weak or unprepared. So you decided to appear weak in order to gather intelligence on other species? Jaewon asked. We decided to be prepared, Yeonho corrected. New Busan Colony is one of 47 similar installations throughout this region of space. Each one is designed to gather intelligence about alien species and their capabilities. What we have learned from you will be used to protect humanity and establish our position in the galactic community. The full scope of what had happened was becoming clear to the Viridians. They had not discovered a stranded human colony. They had walked into a carefully planned intelligence operation that had been designed specifically to target their type of humanitarian mission. Our ship, Captain Yulra said suddenly. Are there other humans monitoring our ship? Your ship is perfectly safe, Yeonho assured her. But yes, we have been scanning and analyzing it continuously since you arrived. We now understand your propulsion systems, defensive capabilities, and communication technologies better than you might expect. As the reality of their situation settled in, the Viridians realized that their act of compassion had become a military intelligence disaster. Everything they had shared with the humans in the spirit of helping desperate people had been used to gather strategic information about their species and their civilization. The humans were not the primitive, struggling species that Viridian databases described. They were something much more dangerous, and the galaxy was about to learn just how dangerous they could be. Commander Yeonho watched the shocked expressions on the Viridian faces with something that might have been sympathy. These aliens had come here with good intentions, wanting to help people in need. It was unfortunate that their compassion had made them perfect targets for human intelligence operations. I understand that you feel betrayed, Yeonho said calmly. That was not our intention. You have been treated with respect and courtesy throughout your stay here. But you need to understand that humanity is not the weak species your databases suggest. Captain Yulra found her voice again. What do you mean by that? Our information about humans comes from peaceful first contact protocols established by the Galactic Council. Your information about humans is at least 10 years out of date, replied Defense Coordinator In-ho as he joined the group. Unlike the other humans, he had never tried to appear weak or desperate. His military bearing was obvious, and the equipment he carried was clearly designed for combat situations. 10 years ago, humanity was a single-planet species with basic space travel capability, In-ho explained. Today, we have colonies in over 200 star systems and military technology that matches or exceeds anything else in this region of the galaxy. To demonstrate his point, In-ho activated a control device. Around the colony, the holographic disguises that had hidden the true nature of the installation began shutting down. What had appeared to be damaged buildings revealed themselves as sophisticated military structures. Weapon systems emerged from hidden positions. Landing bays opened to reveal ships that were clearly designed for war, not exploration. The transformation was stunning. Within minutes, the struggling colony the Viridians had spent 3 days trying to help became obviously what it had always been. A military base designed to project human power far beyond the boundaries of human space. This is impossible, whispered senior diplomat Bora as she watched massive defensive turrets rise from what had appeared to be damaged storage buildings. How did you hide all of this? Holographic projection systems, sensor scramblers, and very good acting, answered Technical Director Hyojin with obvious pride. We have been perfecting these techniques for years. The ability to appear weak while actually being strong is one of humanity's most valuable military assets. Security. Chief Jaewon was scanning the revealed installations with his equipment, and what he saw made him even more concerned. These weapon systems are more advanced than anything in Viridian military databases. Where did you get technology like this? We developed it ourselves, Operations Chief Seung-ho replied as he approached the group. Humans are very good at creating new technology when we need it, especially technology designed for warfare. The most shocking revelation came when the colonists themselves began removing their disguises. The children who had appeared sick and malnourished removed genetic modification devices and revealed themselves as adult soldiers whose apparent youth had been an illusion. Men and women who had seemed weak and tired straightened up and began, moving with the precision and confidence of elite military personnel. Every person you have met over the past 3 days is a member of the 42nd Deep Reconnaissance Battalion, explained Commander Yeon Ho. They are some of the most highly trained soldiers in human space. Each one is worth a dozen regular troops in combat situations. Captain Yulra looked around at the transformed base and felt a growing sense of dread. What is the purpose of this installation? Why build a military base disguised as a failing colony? Intelligence gathering and technology development, Yeon Ho answered honestly. We needed to understand the capabilities and intentions of alien species in this region. The best way to do that was to make ourselves appear vulnerable and see who would try to help us and who would try to harm us. And now that you have gathered this intelligence, what do you intend to do with it? Asked Bora, though she suspected she might not like the answer. Operations Chief Seung Ho activated a large holographic display that showed star charts of the entire region. Red dots marked human military installations, blue dots showed alien colonies and bases, and yellow lines indicated shipping routes and communication networks. We have been mapping this entire sector for 3 years, Seung Ho explained. Every alien species, every military installation, every trade route, every communication relay. We now understand the strategic situation in this region better than any alien government. The display zoomed in to show detailed information about Viridian space, military bases, defensive positions, fleet compositions, and economic centers were all marked with precise coordinates and capability assessments. Your own defensive networks show significant weaknesses, Seung Ho continued, highlighting specific areas on the display. Your communication systems use encryption that our computers can break in minutes. Your ship designs prioritize exploration over combat effectiveness. Your military doctrine assumes that potential enemies will follow the Yao, same peaceful principles you follow. Jae-won stared at the display with growing horror. How could you possibly know all of this? We have never shared this information with any human government. You did not need to share it intentionally, replied Intelligence Officer Daeho as he joined the conversation. Every time you tried to help us, we learned something new about your capabilities. Every repair you made to our equipment gave us access to your engineering principles. Every communication link you established allowed us to infiltrate your networks. The scope of the intelligence disaster was becoming clear to the Viridians. Their act of compassion had given humans detailed information about their military capabilities, their defensive positions, and their strategic weaknesses. But there is more, Daeho continued, activating another section of the holographic display. New Busan is not the only human installation in this region. We have 46 other bases similar to this one, each one positioned to monitor different alien species and gather different types of intelligence. The display showed the locations of human bases throughout the sector. Each one was positioned near major alien colonies or along important trade routes. Some appeared to be research stations, others looked like mining operations, and still others seemed to be simple trading posts. All of them were actually military intelligence installations. Every major alien species in this region has been studied the same way you have been studied, Daeho explained. We know their capabilities, their weaknesses, their military doctrines, and their strategic priorities. This information has been compiled into comprehensive databases that our military commanders are using to plan humanity's expansion into alien space. Captain Yulra felt sick as she realized the implications of what she was hearing. Expansion? Are you planning to attack our worlds? That depends entirely on how your governments respond to humanity's presence in this region, answered Strategic Operations Director Myung-ja as she approached the group. Her uniform carried rank insignia that marked her as one of the senior commanders of the entire operation. Humanity is expanding whether alien governments cooperate with us or not, Myung-ja explained calmly. We have the technology, the military strength, and the strategic intelligence to establish ourselves as the dominant power in this sector. The question is whether this process will be peaceful or violent. You are threatening to wage war against peaceful civilizations, Bora said, her voice shaking with emotion. We are offering peaceful civilizations the opportunity to coexist with humanity on terms that ensure our mutual security, Myung-ja corrected. But we have learned that the galaxy can be dangerous for species who appear weak. We will not make that mistake. The demonstration continued as more hidden systems activated throughout the base. Manufacturing facilities that had been disguised as damaged workshops began producing advanced military equipment. Shipyards that had been hidden underground revealed warships under construction, communication arrays that had appeared to be salvaged. Emergency transmitters showed their true capability by establishing real-time contact with human fleets throughout the region. The intelligence you have helped us gather has been extremely valuable, Myung-ja said to the stunned Viridians. Your technology, your strategic positions, your military capabilities, your political structure, all of it has been analyzed and catalogued. This information is already being used by human military planners. As if to demonstrate this point, new contacts began appearing on the strategic display. Human warships were emerging from hyperspace near major Viridian installations. Throughout the sector, each fleet was positioned to exploit the strategic weaknesses that had been identified through operations like the one at New Busan. The Viridians realized that their humanitarian mission had not just been a failure. It had been the final piece of intelligence humanity needed to launch a coordinated expansion into alien space. Their compassion had been turned into a weapon against their own people. Admiral Changmin emerged from the main command center deep beneath Mount Baekdu, finally revealing his true authority over New Busan colony. Unlike the other humans the Viridians had met, he made no attempt to appear friendly or reassuring. His uniform was crisp and formal. His bearing was that of a career military officer, and his eyes held the cold calculation of someone who had spent years planning for this moment. "Welcome to the real New Busan colony," Admiral Changmin said as he approached the group of stunned Viridians. "I apologize for the deception, but it was necessary for the security of both our species." Captain Yulra stared at the human admiral, with a mixture of anger and fear. "What do you mean the security of both our species? We came here to help you, not to threaten you." "I understand that," Changmin replied calmly. "But you need to understand the larger context of humanity's situation in this galaxy. 8 years ago we received our first contact with an alien species. It was not peaceful exploration like your mission. It was a scouting fleet from the Hegemony Empire, evaluating humanity as potential slaves for their labor colonies." The Admiral activated a holographic display that showed images of damaged human ships and destroyed orbital stations. The scenes were devastating, showing what appeared to be the aftermath of a brutal attack on human space. "That first contact taught us an important lesson about galactic politics," Changmin continued. "In a galaxy full of alien civilizations, there are only two types of species: those who are strong enough to defend themselves and those who become subjects of stronger powers." Senior diplomat Bora looked at the images with horror. The Galactic Council would never allow such attacks on a developing species. There are laws, treaties, protocols for first contact situations. "The Hegemony Empire is not part of your Galactic Council," replied Intelligence Officer Daeho. "They control over 300 star systems in this region, and they view other species as resources to be harvested. Your council's laws mean nothing to them." "But that was 8 years ago," Jaewon said. "What does it have to do with what you are doing now?" Admiral Changmin smiled grimly. 8 years ago, humanity was a single-planet species with primitive space technology. The hegemony attack destroyed most of our orbital infrastructure and killed over 2 million people. But it also taught us that we needed to become something different if we wanted to survive. The holographic display changed to show human space as it existed today. Hundreds of star systems were marked with human colonies, military bases, and industrial facilities. The transformation from 8 years ago was remarkable. "We spent the next 5 years rebuilding and expanding," Changmin explained. "But this time, we built with the understanding that we were surrounded by potential enemies. Every colony became a fortress. Every ship became a weapon. Every contact with alien species became an opportunity to gather intelligence." "And installations, like New Busan?" Captain Yulra asked. New Busan and 46 other bases like it were established 3 years ago as part of Operation Deep Strike, Changmin answered. The purpose was to gather detailed intelligence about every alien species in this region, understand their capabilities and intentions, and prepare humanity for whatever threats we might face. The display zoomed out to show the entire sector of space surrounding human territory. Alien civilizations were marked in different colors, with detailed information about their military strengths, political structures, and strategic resources. The Viridian exploration fleet was identified as a priority target because of your advanced technology and your extensive knowledge of this region, Daeho explained. We needed to understand your capabilities, and the best way to do that was to make you want to help us. So you used our compassion against us, Bora said, her voice filled with sadness. We used your compassion to protect both our species, Changmin corrected. Because while we were studying you, we were also studying the real threats in this region. The display highlighted several star systems marked in red. The Hegemony Empire has been expanding aggressively for the past 3 years. They have already absorbed 6 smaller civilizations, including 2 that were members of your Galactic Council. Your own territory is next on their expansion list. This information clearly shocked the Viridians. Jaewon activated his communication device and tried to contact their ship, but found that the signals were being blocked. Your ship is safe, Changmin assured him, but we cannot allow you to warn your government about human capabilities until our defensive preparations are complete. Defensive preparations? Captain Yulra asked. The Hegemony Empire is planning to attack Viridian space within the next 6 months, Strategic Operations Director Myung-ja explained as she joined the conversation. Our intelligence networks have intercepted their battle plans. They intend to capture your advanced technology and use your industrial capacity to support their continued expansion. Why should we believe anything you tell us? Jaewon demanded. You have been lying to us since we arrived. Because, Admiral Changmin said as he activated another section of the display, we are about to demonstrate that humanity is now strong enough to protect our friends and destroy our enemies. The holographic display showed real-time tactical information from throughout the sector. Human fleets that had been hidden for months were emerging from concealment near major strategic positions. Each fleet was positioned to intercept hegemony forces before they could reach their targets. Operation Deep Strike is not just about intelligence gathering, Changmin explained. It is about positioning human forces to intervene in the coming conflict. The intelligence we have gathered from missions like yours has allowed us to understand the strategic situation well enough to prevent the hegemony from succeeding. New contacts began appearing on the display as human warships dropped out of hyperspace throughout the region. Each fleet was larger and more heavily armed than anything the Viridians had in their databases about human military capabilities. How is this possible? Bora whispered as she watched dozens of human fleets appear on the tactical display. Your species was barely capable of interplanetary travel just years ago. Necessity is an excellent teacher, replied Technical Director Hyojin. When your survival depends on rapid technological advancement, you find ways to accomplish things that seemed impossible before. Admiral Changmin turned to address Captain Yulra directly. You have a choice to make. You can return to your people as an ambassador, carrying humanity's offer of alliance against the hegemony threat, or you can remain here as our guests while human forces establish security throughout this region. What kind of alliance? Captain Yulra asked carefully. A simple one, Changmin replied. Humanity will provide military protection for Viridian space in exchange for access to your advanced technology and industrial capacity. Your people continue to govern themselves, but under the protection of human military forces. And if we refuse this offer, then you will discover that the Hegemony Empire is a much less pleasant neighbor than humanity, Myungja answered bluntly. They do not offer alliances. They offer only subjugation or destruction. As if to emphasize this point, new alerts began flashing on the tactical display. Long-range sensors were detecting massive hegemony fleet movements toward both human and Viridian space. The attack that human intelligence had predicted was beginning ahead of schedule. The choice is yours, Admiral Changmin said, as he prepared to return to the command center. But you need to make it quickly. The war that has been coming for years is about to begin, and humanity intends to win it. Captain Yulra watched the tactical display as human and hegemony fleets moved toward their first confrontations. She realized that the galaxy had changed in ways that her people did not understand. The humans were no longer the primitive species that Viridian databases described. They had become something much more dangerous and much more necessary. As the first battle reports began coming in from across the sector, it became clear that humanity had indeed become a war machine. But perhaps in a galaxy where such machines were necessary for survival, that was exactly what the peaceful species needed for protection. The question now was whether the galaxy would accept humanity's offer of protection, or whether it would learn the hard way that some species were simply too dangerous to ignore.